Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology students, and this is meant for 21st July 2020. And in our previous session, your memory helps you that we were discussing about most important biomolecules called nucleic acids, that is DNA and RNA, acidic in nature, and they are present inside the nucleus, hence nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. And these are hereditary in nature, they carry hereditary material, hence they are very, very important. I hope you have drawn the diagrams of the parts of DNA, the constituents of the DNA, like nitrogen base structure, both purines and pyrimidines, and the ribulose sugar structure and phosphoric acid structure, at least one nucleotide structure. If you are not, please draw it today, soon after this session. Now in this session, we are going to come to another important biomolecules called carbohydrates. As the name suggests to you, these biomolecules are made up of three atoms: carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So the basic structure of this is CHO, and we have a formula that is CnH2ON. This is the common formula, where let us say N is equal to 6, then it becomes C6H12O6. Why H12? H2 is the common formula, H2 into 6, because 6 is the common factor. So it becomes C6H12O6, like that. So N can be in any numbers. So carbohydrates are most abundant organic molecules in nature. They are produced during photosynthesis of autotrophic plants. They present combinations of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, as I said. Although carbohydrates can be generally represented by empirical formula CnH2O n times, in which n is an integer, some carbohydrates contain additional atoms of sulfur and nitrogen. And also, you must understand that carbohydrates can have their attachments as aldo and keto functional groups. I am sure you know what is a functional group. So there it can be aldoses and ketoses. So having this background, let's understand that carbohydrates are very, very important as far as our energy is concerned. They are energy giving foods. As a biology student, you must understand that carbohydrates are present in rice, they are present in wheat, present in jowar, present in maize, you can say all cereals. And they are also present in milk. Carbohydrates are present in milk, and when you eat, say puri, chapati and rice, all these are carbohydrates. If you observe your meal, majority of the South Indians are carbohydrate diet eaters, and that is the problem for most of the South Indians. We don't eat the balanced diet. It is essential that whatever you eat, we should have carbohydrates, of course, because they give, as you are seeing, 4 calories per gram of energy, and without energy we cannot survive. But then you must also understand that almost more than double of this energy, 4 into 2 plus 1, 9 calories per gram fats will give. So we must have fats also, but be careful in limited quantity. And then most important ones, proteins. You must have proteins, even though they are almost equivalent to carbohydrates in terms of giving energy, but they are, remember the other day we said, building blocks. So growth and development is because of proteins. And vitamins and minerals are very, very essential so that we will not have any diseases. Hence, ensure that the food that you eat, be it breakfast, be it lunch, dinner or any snacks, you must ensure that all these are present. What are those? Carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals. And do not forget, being biology boy, water. Have plenty of water. I told you in the class, 8 liters of water per day. If you can drink, you are very, very healthy. So have plenty of water. And coming back to carbohydrates, the functions of carbohydrates: most abundant source of energy, precursors for many organic compounds like fats and amino acids, present as glycoproteins and glycolipids in our plasma membrane or cell membrane. Remember that we discussed recently the structure of our plasma membrane, and it is also responsible for cell growth, and it's a structural component in cellulose, the plant material, exoskeleton of some insects, cell wall of microorganisms, and of course it gets stored in the form of glycogen to meet the energy demands of our body as and when we require. Now, classification. What is a saccharide? Carbohydrates are often referred to as saccharides, and these are broadly classified into 3 major groups as you are seeing: monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. This classification is based on number of sugar units. Mono means one sugar unit. Oligo means say 9 to 12 units. Poly means many sugar units will be present in that. So monosaccharides are those sugars that cannot be further hydrolyzed into simple carbohydrate. That is the last. So they are classified into trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses, and heptoses depending upon the number of carbon atoms. See, that's what, based on the number of carbon atoms. So you can know triose is glycerose, and ketone group dihydroxyacetone, and similarly pentose we said ribose or ribulose. You have seen in DNA and RNA like that. And then oligosaccharides can be classified based on the number of sugar units or carbohydrate units. 2 to 9 monosaccharides will be there in this, and depending upon the number of monosaccharide molecules, there can be condensation, and this can be further hydrolyzed into disaccharides and trisaccharides. And what about polysaccharides? Poly, as the name suggests, many. These are many units of monosaccharides will be there, and that's why they are called glycons. They are long chained and branched or unbranched. Examples: starch, cellulose, etc. So monosaccharides, as I said, depending upon the number of carbon atoms, they can be trioses. Tri means 3, as you are seeing, C3H6O3. Tetroses, C4, 4 carbons. Pentose, 5 carbon. Hexose, 6 carbon. Heptose, 7 carbon. And if there is a functional group like aldehyde group is dash CHO. Ketone group is dash C double bond O. If aldehyde is present as a functional group in a monosaccharide, you can see glyceraldehyde. Glycerin plus aldehyde, glyceraldehyde. Glucose, you can see the structure. And when we are having this molecular formula and structural formula, you can write like this. Count the carbon numbers from top to bottom: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see the functional group CHO. And ketones, CO group you can see here, C double bond O, ketone group. Then we say dihydroxyacetone. And derivatives: deoxy sugars, amino sugars, sugar acids, the oxidation takes place, and sugar alcohols, reduction of aldoses and ketones. And then oligosaccharides, as I said, they are formed by condensation of 2 to 9 monosaccharides. Depending upon the number of monosaccharides, further oligosaccharides can be disaccharides like sucrose and lactose, trisaccharides like raffinose, tetra like stachyros. The smallest and the commonest oligosaccharides are disaccharides. So disaccharides are very, very common. We are using in our day-to-day life. Di means 2. 2 monosaccharides units are present in this, and both the monosaccharide units are linked together by a bond called glycosidic bond. So they are crystalline, water soluble, and sweet to taste. That's why you are using it as sugar. Maltose, so malt sugar. Lactose, milk sugar. Sucrose, sugarcane sugar. Now come to polysaccharides. These are also called, as I said, glycans. Poly means many, saccharides means units, sugar units, many sugar units. So made up of repeating units of monosaccharides held by glycosidic link. During its formation, a water molecule is released at each condensation. This helps reduce bulk, making it almost insoluble, decreasing its effect on the water potential or osmotic potential of the cell. Unlike sugars, they are not sweet. Polysaccharides are not sweet. They are ideal as storage and structural components. So there are two types, homoglycans and heteroglycans. And homoglycans made up of only one type of monosaccharide, that is starch, glycogen and cellulose. And hetero, many, like chitin, chitin, the external exoskeleton in cockroaches, very, very strong, that can withstand even the nuclear radiation. Agar, all these are hetero. And storage, the polysaccharides can be stored in form of starch. This is carbohydrate reserve in plants, most abundant, and high content of starch in cereals, roots, tubers, vegetables. Homopolymer made up of glucose units, also called glucan. Starch is amylose plus amylopectin. And second, glycagon, carbohydrate reserve in animals, hence it is referred as animal starch. Glycogen is animal starch. High concentration in liver, muscles and brain. Also found in plants that do not have chlorophyll, like yeast and fungi. And glucose is the repeating unit. What about inulin? It's a polymer of fructose. So we say fructosan, found in dahlia, bulbs, garlic, onion, etc. It is soluble in water easily. It is not readily metabolized in the human body and is readily filtered through the kidney, hence used for testing kidney function, that glomerular filtration rate, GFR. Structural polysaccharides, cellulose and chitin, as we said, occurs exclusively in plants and most abundant organic substance in plant kingdom, cellulose. Predominant constant of plant cell wall. All of us know cell wall of the plant is made up of cellulose and it is absent in animals. And chitin, second most abundant organic substance, complex carbohydrate or heteropolysaccharide type, found in exoskeletons, just now I said, in cockroach family, like insects, crustaceans, and it provides very good strength and elasticity, becomes hard when impregnated with calcium carbonate. Hence, carbohydrates play very, very crucial role in all of us. So this is essential for all the organisms. And the polysaccharides can be food storage polysaccharides like starch, glycagon, and structural polysaccharides is cellulose, chitin. Hence, we must have this carbohydrates in our diet. In our next session,